Okay, so the first teaser didn't spoil anything crazy. The most recent trailer, I'm not going to say spoils the whole movie, but it gives away, it reveals something that I'm not going to talk about in this video. Thankfully, I didn't watch that before seeing this movie, but some of you will just know that not all of the surprises are ruined, but I do wish they wouldn't have revealed that. What's up, Flick fans? Again, this is tough because I don't want to reveal a lot, but I do want to talk about how Companion seemed like it could be a generic horror movie on its surface, but it turned out to be a comedic psychological thriller of sorts that really worked for me, so I'm excited to talk about it. If you've seen it, let me know, and again, I'm going to be careful.
There have been two moments in my life when I was happiest. The first was the day I met Josh.
I'm Josh.
I'm Iris.
So a billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. This movie's definitely rated R. There's strong violence, a little bit of sexual content, and some language throughout. So this comes to us from producer Zachary Kreger, who of course was behind Barbarian. Now, Barbarian was a wild horror movie. Again, this isn't firmly in that genre, but I was super excited to see what they were going to do. And I love the cast. First of all, Jack Quaid, he's found his home. It's these types of horror movies, whether they have a lower budget or not, he is so good when he's working within the confines of his range. And I think he can play charming well, but he can also play sinister well. And so we've seen him in different types of roles. But this time around, he's the guy. He's the guy that Sophie Thatcher's character falls in love with, and she is smitten with Jack Quaid. We see that cute little romantic scene at the beginning, and that's when you're trying to figure out what tone this movie is going for. And I like how weird and awkward Iris's character is. She does not fit in, and there's something uncomfortable about her character where you just don't know where she's going to go next. In that opening line, she says something at the end of that first scene. You're like, all right, did they either just spoiled the whole movie for us in the beginning, or they're going to give us twists and turns along the way. I will say, I'll say this about the marketing. I don't think the poster reveals what exactly is going on. Some people have said that, but I'm sitting back going, as a guy who didn't know what the main twists were, I saw that poster and didn't say, yeah, that's what this is, because how would you know unless you've seen that second trailer or movie? Like, you wouldn't know that. So, no, the poster's not a spoiler unless you're already aware of what's going on. Then you could say, yeah, well, it spoiled it. No, it didn't.
No.
But I watched that second trailer in preparation for this review. Yeah, the second trailer gives something away to where, I was caught off guard while watching, and so I'm thinking to myself, man, if they reveal that, and they did in the marketing. And this is one of those examples of I am going to hopefully persuade you to stay away from really any of the trailers if you haven't seen that, but specifically one that just gives away one of the cool aspects of this film. Because the first time it happens, and I was in an audience that didn't know what was coming, everyone was thrown off. We're all like, oh my God, okay. Thankfully, that's not the only reveal or set of twists throughout this film. And one thing I love about Kreger and I love about this Barbarian crew, and no, he's not the director, but I really love how they're always or consistently trying to catch the audience off guard. It's like you think you know where this movie's going because we've seen it 1,000 times before, but within the first two acts of the movie, it goes in this direction, that direction, never really strays away tonally, which is what I was worried about. It's like, I don't want this to be silly and then emotional and then serious and then silly. No, it strikes the right chord, it sticks with that, and maintains it all the way until the end. Now, I will say, as a big fan of this movie and what it was consistently offering me in terms of entertainment, say what you will, injecting a little exposition, kind of revealing where we are to an audience that could hopefully figure that out without such expositional dialogue. It's like, well, here's exactly what happened and how we got there. And I'm sitting here going, I don't need to know that. That's not necessary.
No. Don't say that.
Yeah, that happens through the first two acts. Now, beyond that, I was loving this movie. It was outstanding because it catches you off guard, but also you really care about Iris and you're rooting for her, even though you know she's about to get in deep. That's what she said. No, she's about to do something that you're not ready for emotionally because you're so attached to her. And I'm sitting back going, okay, how are they going to make me hate her? because I love how awkward and cringeworthy she is in public. You are waiting for this to go too far off the rails. Thankfully, it never does, but it's always keeping you engaged, and it's consistently injecting humor. I've talked about the first two acts. The third act, which does hold even more surprises that I thoroughly enjoyed, it does start to slightly venture into familiar territory. Once we get all of that madness out of the way, then it's time to start to wrap things up. It wraps them up, but it also wraps them up in a way that you could either see coming or just kind of roll your eyes as to how they built that up to start with. They plant seeds and give you context clues that are maybe a little more obvious than what they think they are delivering. But again, we've seen this before in horror. Again, I don't want to consider this horror. It's more of a comedic psychological thriller. That said, I still like the way it wrapped up, and I was having a great time. I do want to end with this. Sophie Thatcher is remarkable in this role. She is so good. This is the perfect type of horror-ish role for her, but then again, she takes it in such a crazy direction by the end. She starts out as this very awkward character, but by the end, finds her groove as a character, and I was thoroughly enjoying it, man. And so she's amazing. The chemistry or lack thereof with Jack Quaid is amazing. And the rest of the crew. You know, Megan Surrey, Lucas Gage, who we just saw and smiled to last year. And then I do have to mention the director, Drew Hancock. Don't really know much about him. He wrote on Blue Mountain State for a while, so I'm like, I could see some of that kind of translating into the writing. He wrote and directed this movie, and I got to give him the praise. Look, Zach Kreger, as a producer, clearly had an influence with Barbarian here. It's that type of creativity. But Hancock clearly had a blast with this. I also want to say this and tiptoe in case you're looking for something more. It's not just a silly, fun thriller, haha, you've got jokes and you've got madness, bloody violence. No, there are themes in this movie of toxicity and abusive relationships, abuse in general, how some characters in here are just ultimately controlling towards others, and how it's up to some of the people that we're rooting for to kind of break free from that toxicity and abuse. And obviously it plays with that in a fun way, but if you watch this through a certain lens, you can see exactly what they're going for, and they're not hiding it. So I really appreciate that. And a movie that deals with that, yet has so much fun with itself, and it all comes together so beautifully, that's a movie that deserves to be watched on the big screen.
I like it a lot.
Before I give you my score, first of all, if you want to see my best of January, drop that like down below. We may rank all of the movies that we've watched this month. Also, what are you thinking about this film? Without spoiling it, are you frustrated by the marketing and how they were just revealing some of the cool things about this movie? But again, there are more twists and turns. It's not just that one big thing. And Companion hooks you from the opening sequence, never loses its grip. There is so much to admire within the creativity of this script, as it makes for an often hilarious yet emotionally charged thriller tackling toxicity and abuse. Everyone's having fun with their part, but Sophie Thatcher is devouring this role. This is one that deserves to be seen with the crowd, and again, go in as blind as possible. Hopefully, you'll have a fun communal experience with a crowd that's ready for this. There was one person as I was walking out, an older individual, and she said, "Ow, well, that was crazy. I guess I'm never watching a Regal mystery movie again," because that's where I saw it. I'm sitting back going, lady... Again, sometimes twists can piss people off, and I guess that there's so many in this movie. This lady was not having it. She was pissed off, but her husband was like, well, I kind of liked it. It was fun to listen into their conversation, which, again, I was eavesdropping. Shouldn't have been doing. All right, I'll see you soon.